Hello, and thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. My name is Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker and owner of Affordable Homes and Apartments in Williamsville. I'm licensed to preach and ordained as a minister. I have my master's degree in sacred theological divinity. And I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And you can hit me up on Facebook at Dr. Sylvia Black. You can hit me up on my YouTube address at sblack3001 at gmail.com. sblack3001 on my YouTube address. You can email me at sblack3001 at gmail.com. And you can visit me right here on Time Warner Public Access TV, Channel 20, on Wednesdays at 6:30 to 7 p.m. and on Saturdays from 12:30 to 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And again, I want to thank you for joining me today. And my name is Sylvia Black. I'm licensed to preach and ordained as a minister, and I have my master's degree in sacred theological divinity. And I want to thank you for joining me today. For the last couple of weeks, I have been talking about a book that I have written entitled Vengeance is Mine, saith the Lord, I Will Repay. Now this is a video, but this is what the cover looks like. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay. Which this book basically talks about how God is going to exert his vengeance upon those who have done wrong against him and his people. You don't have to worry about getting revenge out on anybody because God has already got it under control. And this book is also available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net. But today I'd like to talk to you about another book that I had actually written, and it's entitled, I Will Do a New Thing in You, saith the Lord. And this is a picture of a butterfly, caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And how many of y'all know that if God can turn the caterpillar into a butterfly, he can sure enough give us some wings and we can fly too. Mount up like wings like eagles. Mount up like eagles. Okay? So then I want to talk to you a little bit about that. And again, I want to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate, Religion, and You. And we're going to talk about I Will Do a New Thing in You. Now, I wrote the book basically when I was dealing with, I was in the middle of brokenness. Okay? I was dealing with broken issues, and I thought that I was at one of the lowest points in my life. I felt so depressed and downtrodden. I didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to do anything, I couldn't make any decisions. If I had made the wrong decision, then I figured, things was going to go haywire. Wasn't sure what to do, how to do it, how to go about it and whatnot. And of course I'd realized that why I was so depressed was, first of all, I had left my praise at the door, at the church door. That's number one. Okay? I left my praise at the church door, and I'm starting to give God orders and tell God what I want and how I want it, okay? I didn't get to the point where, I know some people do, where you say, hey, if you don't do this for me, Lord, then I'm going to go out and do that and do this and that and the other. Well, just compare going to hell for all eternity to you making a decision for yourself and not following after God. Okay? Now, today I want to talk to you a little bit about I Will Do a New Thing in You, saith the Lord, written by yours truly, Sylvia Black. Okay? Now, in this book I talk about handling your brokenness, what does it mean to be broken, promise of restoration, hope for the Messiah, hope in the Messiah. Okay? We are God's ambassadors. Have you been broken? Joseph sold into slavery. I have 8 chapters in here. I talk about are you in bondage. I talk about different aspects of being broken. I talk about the biblical characters who have dealt with brokenness, how they came about it, what they did in the natural, and how to look at it in the spiritual. I do the comparisons of the carnal view of it and of the spiritual view. I put as many scriptures as I could find about the healings of Jesus. How Jesus when he walked the face of the earth, how he healed everybody. Who he healed, what was his method of healing, how long they had dealt with their brokenness and their physical afflictions. Okay, there's some people that have some mental afflictions in here too that God healed. I can only imagine that before Jesus came on the scene, that the place must have looked like Night of the Living Dead. Everybody walking around, most of the people in the world walking around looking, either the blind, or you're lame, or you're sick, afflicted. Can you imagine people that's sitting by the pool just chilling, waiting for Jesus to come once a year, waiting for the angel to come and trouble the water, put a finger in the water and everything, and people will get healed at that point? Well, you can just imagine what the world looked like. And then when Jesus came along and started healing everybody, And all of a sudden, because you notice that the kings and the queens, they didn't care nothing about the folks that was ill. They just let them stay to themselves. You stay over there and we'll stay over here. But when Jesus Christ came on the scene, he started healing everybody, and he was irrespective of the individual. He didn't care whether you're man, woman, boy, or girl. He was going to heal you. Okay, and then all of a sudden the people got mad at Jesus because he was healing. My opinion is that they got mad at him because he was messing with the economy. Because here now all of a sudden these different people that weren't working, they were lame and sick and poor and afflicted, and they sitting by the pool, or they doing what they do, or they die off, or what have you, and they just living their life until that's it for them. And then now here comes Jesus giving them a second chance on life. Well, how many of y'all know that Jesus is a man of second chances? That God is a God of second chances, baby. Second chances, third chances, fourth chances. This book is available on highwaytoheavenchurch.net. I will do a new thing in you, saith the Lord. You can also go to lulu.com, which is www.lulu.com, and search I Will Do a New Thing in You, or you can search my name, Sylvia Black. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what does it mean to be broken. First of all, when God breaks us, sometimes he's got to get you in a quiet time. He's trying to talk to you. You know what it's like for somebody to, your friend or your relative or your mate or your husband or your wife or your children, and they want to talk to you, and they're just pulling on you, saying, "I want to talk to you, but I need to stay," and they're just trying to talk to you, and it seems like they're just nagging you, and you leave me alone, child. But that's the way God is. He wants to talk to you, but he's not going to go through all of that. He's not going to bow down to you or me. He says, hey, if I can't get your attention, then I'm going to make you get your attention, okay? I'm going to afflict you in the area that you value the most. Okay, I blessed you with that good paying job. I blessed you with that brand new car or that truck that you're driving. I blessed you with that husband or the wife that you have or your children. And I blessed you with your life. And now you're too busy with all of the stuff that I blessed you with to spend time with me. Can you imagine what it's like if you were to fix a nice 5-course dinner for someone, anyone, your man, your woman, your family relative? You might be having a dinner. When you say, okay, come on over, let's have dinner, I'm cooking. And they come over and whatnot, and they see the 5-course meal you done prepared it, it's all elaborate and everything. And then next thing you know, they be like, hey, I'm out of here. And you be like, what? I spent all this time preparing this meal and you are gone? Is you crazy? Now, how do you think God feels? He wants us to spend time with him. He wants us spending time with him. Me, I love to sing. So I sing, I sing my praises to the Lord. You know what I mean? I walk around the house singing. I hum my tunes. I think I do my best praying when I'm in the car. Don't ask me why, but I just start singing and just praising the Lord. And I just be like, oh my God, I know folks can hear me when I be singing. But I love to sing. Matter of fact, I got a couple of CDs that are available in their Record Theater. And also at True Bethel Baptist Church bookstore. Okay, that's where my CDs are. Haven't found a place yet for my books yet, except for online at highwaytoheavenchurch.net and also affordablehomesandapartments.com for my real estate books and information. Now, this book talks about broken relationships, broken-hearted, and I asked a question to you. Are you in bondage? That's in chapter 2. Sometimes God has to get our attention because we haven't communicated with him lately. Okay? In other words, you haven't prayed or you haven't talked to God lately. In addition, depending on how long it has been since you last talked to him will depend on the severity of your brokenness or your bondage. Okay? God said if God really, 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 really wants to get a point across to you today and it can't wait until tomorrow, you'll probably end up in the hospital somewhere. You know what I mean? Or you may be laying down in your bed. You might not be able to go to work or what have you. And then you say, now God says I can talk to you. Because eventually your mind is going to float on and you're going to start thinking about your affliction, or maybe you just won't think about nothing at all, just about getting better. And then God says, now I got your attention. But how many of y'all know that sometimes even in the midst of your affliction, some people still don't turn to God? Can I get some help up in here? Okay? God is trying to tell you something. Sometimes you get brokenhearted. It's a God-ordained move. Everything that happens to a child of God, anything that happens is a God-ordained move. He's the one that allows the people to abuse you and use you. He's the one that allows the people to steal from you. But why is he doing that? Because there's always a message in the mess. There's always a message in the mess. And I also have in it, some people just accept their destiny as their path of life, as their path of life leads them to destruction. And then they continue to live their life based on that lie, having accepted that lie as their destiny. Okay? In other words, there was a show that I watched, it was called I Almost Got Away with It. And it was about this guy who was in jail. And he almost had a few more months to go before he was released. And I think he was going to be on probation, but he was going to be out. He was going to be free. And just before his couple of months was up, he escaped. Okay, he escaped. Make a long story short, I'm not going to go into detail. He escaped. They caught him a couple of days later, brought him back to jail. Put him in, now they transferred him to a more high security facility. He did it, I think, altogether about 5 times he escaped. Each time he did more crime because next time he gets out, now not only does he want to get high, he wants to have sex. And nobody ain't having sex with a convict who ain't got no money. Come on now. And also, I mean, real, he's out of jail. He don't have no money, so how you going to get some money? Now you got to steal it. So he steals the money so he can get it. So now he's robbing people at gunpoint. Raping women. You know what I mean? Doing all these kind of heinous crimes when he only had a few more months to get out of jail. Now, between the time that he first broke out of jail and the time that he was the time that they were showing him being filmed on TV, like they was talking to him, getting a conversation out of him, like, why did you do it? And he's a criminal. That's what he said. He's a criminal. That he just admitted that that's what he was, and that was a lie. See, so that's what I mean is that some people accept their destiny as their path of life leads them into destruction. And then they continue to live their life based on that lie, having accepted that lie as their destiny. In other words, what you see isn't what you always get. You may be working as a janitor today, but you don't have to be working as a janitor tomorrow. But as a janitor, you mop them floors and you sweep them floors and you do the best janitor that you can be. And you work hard at what you do, baby, and God will see your reward. He's pleased with you when he sees you doing that, and he will reward you openly. Don't pray like the hypocrites do who disfigure their faces in church or even in the streets or the synagogues or wherever they disfigure their faces. Pray in secret, and when you pray in secret, then God will reward you openly. Okay, he'll let the world see the blessings that have come upon you. Okay, you may be in prison today, you may be in jail today, but that don't mean you're going to be there for the rest of your life. Maybe there's a possibility. I mean, you just got to, explore the possibilities that God has available for you. And believe me, anything is possible with God on your side. Okay, even coming up out of your brokenness. I wrote this book because I was dealing with brokenness. I was depressed, and like I said, I thought that I was at one of my lowest points in my life, and I realized that I had left my praise at the church door. Then I start telling God what to do. I'm like, well, God, if you don't do this for me, then I'm gonna go out and do that. If you don't do this for me, and I'm like, what am I doing? What was the reason why I had so much success in the past? Is because I praised my way through. I worshiped my way through it. I always turned to God in my need. And any time, I was always depressed. And I'm like, does God have to bring that kind of severity onto me in order for me to stay faithful and loyal? That's why sometimes he has to bring so much pain and affliction upon a person or individual so that he can, in fact, get the glory. Sometimes that's the only time when you actually praise him. Is when you're actually in the middle of some mess and some stuff and some junk, and then you turn around and you acknowledge God. Well, why does it have to get to that point where you're just in such bondage, so depressed, so downtrodden, that you have to wait until you get to your lowest point in your life before you decide that you're going to turn to God for anything? You could just say the Lord's Prayer. You know what I mean? If you don't know nothing else to say, no other prayer to say the Lord's Prayer in the 23rd Psalm, and then just start thanking him. And believe me, the words will begin to flow. Just start talking to God. He's right there next to you. I don't believe he's up in the sky somewhere. He's right here with you. I remember when I was talking to God, I talked about God to a friend of mine, and he would say, you talk a lot about God like he's right there in the room with you. And I said, that's right. Because he is right there in the room with me, baby. Because ain't no way in the world that I could have overcame the mess that I done come out of unless God was right there with me, baby. Okay? Because when your mama and your daddy ain't even for you, they got their own problems to deal with, and they so consumed with what they're doing for their own selves, trying to stay and do what they got to do so they can survive. And then here you as a child, and you got to find your own way. You know what I mean? But it's not necessarily even finding your own way, because other people, they want you what you got. You are so ambitious and so confident in your own ability. It's not your own ability that you're confident in. It's the God that's in you that gives you the confidence and the ability to walk with your head up in the air. You might be making $7, $8 an hour. You know what I mean? But that don't mean that you any less than of an individual because somebody else is making $20 an hour, or because they're a manager or supervisor. They ain't no better than you because they're making more money. They may be in a worse position than you because they are making more money. And you have to realize that a lot of times when people are making a lot of money, they get caught up in this debt trap. A debt trap. Okay, in other words, you get more credit and more credit and more credit. Sign for this loan, or they're going to give it to you. Okay, your loan is approved. So they got a loan for their house, they got a loan for the car, all their clothes is on loan because they didn't use the credit card to buy it and they got to pay that back. So if they lost their job today or tomorrow, they would be taking the bus, walking, homeless, and naked. And probably starving because they want no money to buy no food. And a lot of people do that. They have to uphold their image. You have people that be working, making $20 an hour, and all of a sudden the plant closes and now they're out of work. Now they got to get 2 and 3 jobs because they have $1,000 mortgage to pay every month. Okay, come on, you got to keep up that image, baby. It may cost you some money, but you're going to look like you just came out of a showroom. HighwayToHeavenChurch.net, y'all. Let's talk a little bit more about this. I know there's going to probably be a part 2. What I do is I compare the carnal with the spiritual. When I talk about the first 3 people that I talk about is Joseph, Judas, and Delilah. How Joseph was sold into slavery. I talk about the reality of what really happened, and then I discuss in depth about the spiritual portion of it. Was Joseph supposed to be sold into slavery? Okay. Was Judas supposed to betray Jesus?